I woke up with a tube in my arm and a buzzing in my skull, sterile lights, beeping monitors, dry throat, numb legs. The first thing I saw was Dana. She wasn't crying. She wasn't smiling either. She just sat beside me holding a manila envelope. I blinked twice. She leaned in. "You made it through," she said. "No warmth, just fact. And while you were under, some things changed." Her voice felt colder than the IV drip. She reached into her purse, pulled out a stack of papers. "Your father passed last night," she said. "He left a new will." I had it notarized. I blinked again. The words didn't sink in. "Last time I saw Dad, we were fixing the gate at the ranch. He laughed when I handed him a beer, said he was proud of me." Dana slid the will onto my lap. Her nails were painted red. There was a smudge on the bottom corner of the first page. My name wasn't there, not once. Not as an heir, not as next of kin, not as anything. She tapped the page gently. "I know this is hard," she said, "but it's done. He gave everything to me, for both of us." My arms wouldn't move, still dead weight. My throat burned. My mouth refused words. Dana stood up. She leaned in close like a nurse whispering comfort. But her breath didn't smell like coffee or worry. It smelled like mint and calculation. "I need you to sign these marks," she said, "to speed up the transfer. You can trust me." She held out a pen, pressed it into my hand, guided my fingers. My body couldn't fight. I was floating in morphine and betrayal. My fingers scratched something onto the page. It didn't feel like my signature. She smiled, just for a second. "I knew you'd understand." The door opened. A nurse walked in. Dana stepped back, folded the papers, and slipped them back into the envelope. She kissed me on the forehead, like nothing had happened. "Rest okay," she said. "We'll talk when you're stronger." And just like that, she walked out. I stared at the ceiling, white, cracked, silent. All I could hear was the beep of the heart monitor and the sound of something deep inside me breaking. That was the moment I knew this wasn't about grief. It wasn't about my recovery. It was a takeover, and I couldn't lift a damn finger to stop it. When the nurse adjusted my IV, she smiled. "Your wife seems strong," she said. I didn't answer. I stared at the empty chair Dana had left behind. There was a faint dent in the cushion. She had planned this. Down to the minute. 3 days later, I was discharged. I walked with a cane, my right side still numb. She didn't come to pick me up. Tom did, my old firehouse buddy. I climbed into his truck in silence. He looked at me. Didn't smile. "You look like hell," he said. I nodded. She took everything I said. He didn't ask how I knew. He just drove. That night, I sat in a borrowed recliner, my hospital band still on my wrist. I unfolded the copy she left, the new will. It was typed, clean, clinical, dated a week ago. Dad's signature looked shaky, off-center. Mine scrawled across the last page was jagged, barely legible. I didn't remember signing it, but I did, I must have, while floating between pain and anesthesia. She waited until I couldn't speak, couldn't think, couldn't resist, and that's when she struck. There was one thing she forgot. I don't die easy, and I don't let betrayal sit quietly. If your wife brought a new will to your hospital bed, would you sign or fight? Comment below. Have you ever trusted the wrong person when you were most vulnerable before the hospital, before the papers, before the betrayal? I thought we were solid. Me and Dana weren't perfect, but we'd lasted. 23 years, 2 houses, a dog that died too early. No kids of our own, but she had Kyle, her boy, my stepson. He never liked me. I didn't blame him. I was the guy who showed up when he was 12. The guy who fixed leaky sinks and bought birthday gifts that didn't land. Still, I tried. Every damn Christmas, every school fundraiser, every awkward Thanksgiving, and Dana. She always said the right things, always managed the money, told me not to worry. "You're the heart," she used to say. "I'll handle the head stuff." So I did what men like me do. I focused on work. I spent 22 years fighting fires, real ones, roofs collapsing, people screaming, smoke thicker than regret. I broke my back in a structure collapse in 21, tried to save a kid, couldn't. After that, they pensioned me out. Early retirement, metal, claps, but no more alarm bells. I stayed home, limped through the days, rebuilt the porch, repainted the barn, fed the birds. Dana kept working. She became a rising star in real estate, sharp suits, long hours, lunches that turned into dinners. I trusted her. Why wouldn't I? We still kissed goodnight, still watched old movies on Sundays sometimes. My father, Jim Elliot, wasn't a soft man. Born in a ranch, died with boots on. He didn't trust many folks. Said lawyers were vultures in suits. But he trusted me. Eventually. We had our fights, especially after my mother died. He hated the idea of me retiring early. Said pain builds character. But the week before he passed, we talked. Real talk, on the porch. He gave me his old hunting knife. Told me, don't ever let them take what's yours. I thought he meant land. I didn't know he meant legacy. I still remember the smell of that night. Cedar wood, cold air, whiskey on his breath, the sound of boots scraping on old deck boards. He said he updated the will, said it was clean, clear, and locked in. He smiled when he said it. That was the last time I saw him alive. After the funeral, I started seeing cracks. Dana didn't cry. Not at the service. Not afterward. Just kept checking her phone. Kyle stood in the back. Wore sunglasses indoors. There was no mention of Dad's ranch in the eulogy. No reading of the will. No family circle. No closure. Dana said it was all handled. Said she had it under control. I didn't ask. I was too busy hurting. Too busy limping to the bathroom and pretending I was okay. Then came the missing mail. Bank statements stopped arriving. So did the property tax bills. I asked Dana. She shrugged. Everything's online now. Easier. I believed her. Until I didn't. After the hospital, things changed. The house felt different. Colder. Quieter. My tools were boxed. Photos gone from the wall. Dad's recliner was missing. Kyle started showing up more. I heard his car in the driveway late at night. He used my whiskey, left crumbs on my table. Dana told me to rest. Don't overthink. You've been through a lot. She smiled when she said it, but her eyes didn't. One night I opened the bottom drawer of my desk. It used to hold Dad's paperwork. Now it held nothing. Not a single file, not a single document, just dust and a single paperclip. That's when it hit me. The inheritance wasn't lost. It was being erased one drawer at a time. If you saw every trace of your family's legacy quietly disappear, would you confront your wife or dig deeper first? 3 weeks after I got home from the hospital, I decided to take a walk. The cold hit harder than I expected. My cane sank into the gravel as I limped down the driveway. I wanted to see the ranch, Dad's old place, my place. The mailbox still had the initials J.E. carved into the side. The wind smelled like cedar and burnt leaves. Felt like home. Until I turned the corner and saw the sold sign staked into the yard. Bright red letters. Angled just right. My stomach dropped. I stood there for a long time. Long enough for a neighbor across the fence to look up, then look away. Dana pulled up behind me in her white SUV. She stepped out wearing heels too sharp for gravel. "Mark," she said, "you shouldn't be out here." I didn't answer. Just stared at the sign. She walked over, arms crossed. "I was going to tell you." When her eyes narrowed, "Don't start. You weren't well, and the house needed too many repairs. We got a good offer. Kyle helped arrange it." "Kyle?" "Of course." She kept talking. "Look, the market's high. We needed to act fast. Besides, it's not like you could maintain it anymore. Not maintain it. That house had stood since 1962. Dad rebuilt it twice after storms. I painted every damn wall with my own hands. She sold it like it was an old couch. When do we leave?" I asked. Dana hesitated. "That's the thing. The buyer wants to move in next week." I blinked. "We have until Friday to clear out." Friday, 3 days. Back at the house, things were already in boxes. Dana had hired movers. Kyle walked past me in sweatpants, sipping my coffee. Didn't even nod. In the garage, I found my fire helmet stuffed in a bin with dog toys. My medals crammed into a shoebox under tax folders. On the kitchen counter was a lease application for an apartment across town. 1 bedroom. I wasn't asked to sign, just to move. That night I sat alone in the driveway. The air was sharp. My breath came out in fog. I watched my house through the window. My wife sat inside with her laptop. My stepson played music too loud upstairs, and I realized I was no longer part of it. Not the house, not the family, not the plan. They didn't ask me to leave. They just never gave me a reason to stay. I called Tom, told him everything. There was silence on the other end. Then he said, "You're not crazy." I didn't respond. He added, "You're just late. They've been planning this." I didn't sleep that night. Every creak in the floor sounded like an eviction notice. I watched the sun rise through the kitchen blinds. The coffee tasted burnt. Or maybe that was just the betrayal. On Thursday, I packed 2 duffel bags, one for clothes, one for whatever I could grab from the garage. I took Dad's knife, my fire badge, and a folder with 3 old utility bills in his name. Everything else boxed, labeled, owned by someone else now. On Friday, I left without a word. No goodbyes, no fight, just silence. But inside, something had changed. I wasn't broken. I was focused. They'd sold the house, but they forgot what it meant to me. They took the land. Now I would take the truth. If your family sold your father's house and boxed your life in 3 days, would you walk away or fight back? I spent the weekend at Tom's place. He lived in a converted garage behind his sister's house. Fridge full of beer, gun rack by the door. The kind of man who kept every receipt just in case. I sat at his kitchen table, surrounded by silence and unpaid bills. He poured 2 coffees, no cream, no sugar. "You sure you want to go down this road?" he asked. I didn't answer. Just placed the folded will copy on the table. He unfolded it slowly, laid it flat, ran his finger down the page. Then he looked up. "Mark, this isn't your dad's signature." I froze. "What do you mean?" He tilted the page toward the light. "Your dad signed everything with a black fountain pen. Always started with a sharp hook on the J." He pointed to the one on the page. "This J is off, slanted, lacks pressure." He held it next to an old birthday card I had brought Dad's handwriting from last year. It was clear, too clear. Tom looked at me. This was signed by someone else, or traced. We sat in silence. The heater kicked on. Something thumped in the pipes. Outside, a dog barked twice, then stopped. I took a long sip of coffee. "Think Dana did it?" Tom didn't blink. "I think she had help." The next day, I pulled old tax records from a storage box I kept in my truck. There, behind a stained receipt and a half-torn envelope, I found a folder marked Elliot Estate, 2022. Inside were copies of my father's original will, dated, signed, notarized. 1 page, simple. He left everything to me. That night, I compared the signatures, line by line, letter by letter. The one Dana showed me had no pressure at the loop, no fade at the end stroke. It was smooth, too smooth, like it had been written slowly, by someone trying to mimic something. I remembered what she said in the hospital. "He gave everything to me. For both of us." No, he didn't, not willingly. I called the notary listed on the fake will. Disconnected. I checked the business address. It belonged to a dry cleaner now. I checked the name. No license found. Whoever notarized the new will didn't exist. Tom made a call to someone he trusted, a clerk at the county office. 2 hours later, we got a scanned copy of the property transfer. Donna had filed it 5 days before Dad died. 5 days. While Dad was still alive, but too weak to speak. His signature on that file, same problem. No pressure, wrong slant, no hook on the J. "She forged them," I said aloud. Tom nodded, "and she counted on you never checking." That night I didn't sleep. I sat on the porch of Tom's garage staring at the stars. Cold wind, smell of pine, a faint sound of tires in the distance. I held the 2 wills in my lap. One real, one fake, one written by blood, the other by betrayal. I lit a cigarette. First one in years, tasted like anger and resolution. I made a decision. I would find the original copy, the one Dad mentioned before he died. "I locked it up," he said. "In a place only we understand." I remembered those words now. A place only we understand. I had one guess, and it was sitting in the basement of the ranch, or in the hands of someone who still remembered who I used to be. If you found proof your wife forged your father's will, would you confront her, or build your case in silence? I showed up at the county office in a flannel shirt and a brace on my left leg. Nobody looked twice. Tom waited outside, engine running. He said this part had to be mine. I walked in with the fake will and asked to compare it to the recorded deed. The clerk, a young woman with headphones, barely looked up. "Do you have power of attorney?" I slid the paperwork across. She scanned, printed, stapled. 5 minutes later, she handed me a copy. I stared at it. Same signature, same notary, same lie. I walked out slow. Tom looked at me through the window. He didn't ask. I just nodded. She forged every damn thing I said. Back at the apartment, Dana's temporary place for me, there was a notice on the door. Final move out. She'd canceled the lease. No return address, no call, no goodbye, no nothing. I stepped inside. Room was half empty, photos gone, dishes gone. On the floor next to the bed was an envelope. No name, no note. Inside was a printed statement, joint account closed. Balance 01 Ulam. She didn't just take the house. She took everything. My name, my trust, my future. That night I sat alone in Tom's garage. It was snowing. He handed me a beer. Didn't say a word. I held it. Didn't drink. "I got nothing left," I finally muttered. Tom leaned back. "Then there's nothing left to lose," he said. That's when I remembered the drawer. Dad's old desk, stored in my unit downtown. I never opened the bottom drawer. It stuck. Always stuck. Took a crowbar in 30 minutes. Inside, behind a faded notebook and a rusted knife, was a sealed envelope. My name on the front. "Mark, if they come for what's yours, don't hand it to them." Hands trembling, I tore it open. Inside, a handwritten letter from my father. A safety deposit box key. A photo of him holding a whiskey glass next to the lockbox. The letter read, "If you're reading this, they already tried." I knew she wanted it. I saw it coming. "You always trusted too easy, son, but you're stronger than you think." I left the original documents in the bank box, along with proof. You know the bank. Don't shout, don't cry, don't beg. Just reclaim what's yours. Quiet, clean, final. And when you do, let it go. You're not them. I sat still for a long time. The heater clanked. My hand closed around the key. It was small, brass, heavy with meaning. Tom saw the look on my face. He said nothing, just grabbed his jacket and keys. We left at 7 a.m., snow still falling, sky gray like memory. I held the key tight in my coat pocket. It burned against my palm, like a second heartbeat. The bank opened at 9. Inside, I asked for box 1172. Clerk asked for ID, signature, then led me to the vault. She opened it, left the room. I pulled the box out and opened it on the steel table. Inside, a copy of the real will, a notarized video statement from Dad, bank statements showing Dana's name added then removed, and a flash drive labeled "If they try to erase you." I didn't cry, didn't speak, just nodded and closed the box again. I had what I needed. It was time. If your father left you the truth in a locked vault, would you use it to fight or walk away and start over? Tom knew a guy, old school attorney, quiet office above a pawn shop, wore bolo ties, spoke in sentences that ended with facts, not questions. His name was Ellis Boone. 50 years in estate law, zero patience for drama. I walked in with a folder and a flash drive. He didn't shake hands, just pointed to the seat and said, "Show me what she did." I laid it out piece by piece. The forged will, the fake notary, the property transfer, the closed bank accounts, and finally Dad's handwritten letter video statement and the flash drive. He watched in silence, then said, "You have her." He leaned back in his chair, fingers steepled, eyes calm. "Forgery, fraud, intent to deceive. She acted while you were under sedation. That's elder abuse by proxy." He turned to me. "Do you want to expose her or destroy her?" I didn't blink. I want justice. That week we got to work. Subpoenas, affidavits, requests for forensic handwriting analysis. Tom tracked down the fake notary. Turns out it was Kyle's college roommate, used a dead license number. We pulled hospital records. Confirmed time of anesthesia. Dana's visitation logs matched the fake signature timestamps. It wasn't just shady, it was surgical, planned, precise, cruel. At night, I sat alone in Tom's garage. Same chair, same coffee, same silence. But inside, something was growing. Not rage, not revenge, clarity. I wasn't just reclaiming money, I was reclaiming who I was before she rewrote me. Dana hadn't called, hadn't texted. She thought I was gone, buried, broken. Out of the way. She forgot one thing. I don't go away. I go quiet. Then I come back. One morning, a package arrived at Ellis's office. Certified mail. From Dana's attorney. She was willing to settle, wanted to avoid embarrassment, suggested amicable closure. Inside was a check, half the estate value. Ellis slid it across the table. You want it? I pushed it back. She forged my father's will while I was unconscious. She boxed my life into 2 bags. She doesn't get to walk away with half. He smiled. First time I saw him smile. Good, let's bury her in truth. That afternoon, I watched the video again. Dad's face lit up in the flickering light. He looked tired, but clear. Mark, you always tried to be the good one. You let people step over you and called it loyalty. If they're watching this, it means they betrayed that. So you go do what you need to do. Quiet, precise, no theatrics. And once you're done, don't look back. Just know I was always proud of you, especially when you stopped saying sorry. I closed the laptop, put on my coat, stepped out into the snow. Time to file. If you had every piece of proof, would you settle for half or see them in court Monday morning? I wore my father's boots, old leather, still dust on the soles. I wanted to feel grounded when I did this. Ellis filed the motion at 8:02 a.m. Forgery, fraud, estate tampering, criminal and civil. By 10:15, the court clerk stamped it. By noon, Dana was served at her office. Tom watched from across the street, said she turned pale, didn't say a word. That afternoon, the phone rang. Unknown number, I answered. It was her. You didn't have to do this, she said. Her voice was smooth, controlled. Same voice she used when selling homes to rich strangers. You could have walked away, Mark. Started fresh. No one would have judged you. I didn't reply. She waited, then added, this will hurt you more than me. I hung up. By Wednesday, the letter started. Cousins, aunt from Tucson, one of Dana's sisters, all writing to urge peace, to keep family out of court, to think about legacy. They had no idea what that word meant to me. I met Ellis in the courthouse hallway. Dark wood panels, smell of floor wax and nervous sweat. He handed me a folder. Inside were the exhibits, the forged will, the original will, the fake notary ID, the hospital timestamp logs, Dad's video, Dana's withdrawal slips. He looked at me. You sure you want this public? I nodded. I'm not hiding anymore. That afternoon, we sat across from Dana and her lawyer. She wore black. No jewelry. Kyle sat 2 seats away, flipping through his phone. Her attorney opened with, my client is open to mediation. Ellis replied, my client is open to justice. Then he played the video. Dad's voice filled the room. Quiet, clear, steady as a bell. Kyle stopped flipping. Dana looked down. Not a word. When it ended, I placed the flash drive on the table. This goes to the press if we go to trial, I said. Donna looked up. For the first time, her voice cracked. You wouldn't. I stared straight at her. You already did. Outside, the air was sharp. I felt lighter, not vindicated, not yet, but cleaner. Tom met me at the curb. How'd it go? They know what's coming. He nodded. You feel anything, cold wind? I said, and maybe a little peace. That night, I sat at Dad's gravesite. First time in months. I didn't bring flowers, just a copy of the will. I folded it, slipped it into the soil. Let the truth rest with him, too. If you had the power to expose everything in court, would you stop at justice or push for full accountability? The courthouse was full. Dana sat at the front with her attorney. Kyle sat behind her, arms crossed, sunglasses inside. He hadn't said a word all morning. Ellis laid out our case in 5 quiet blows. 1, Dad's video. 2, the original will. 3, the forged signatures. 4, the invalid notary. 5, the hospital logs proving I was sedated when the documents were signed. Each slide projected, each word measured. No drama, no shouting, just facts. One after another. Dana's team objected. Questioned timing. Claimed memory lapses. They said I was emotionally unstable. Said my claims were rooted in resentment, not truth. The judge didn't flinch. She asked only one question. Did the deceased sign a valid witnessed will before his passing? Ellis answered yes, and it's in your hand. Dana didn't testify. She never looked at me. Kyle left the room before the closing arguments. I watched the whole thing in silence. My boots planted, my hands steady. The room smelled like dust and tired paper, like history. The judge returned after 42 minutes. She read the verdict slowly. No emotion. The court recognized the original will, declared the new one invalid due to forgery and fraud. All assets reverted to me. Dana's claim was voided. Kyle was not mentioned. It was over, just like that. No cheers, no music. Just the sound of a gavel hitting wood. One sharp crack. That was it. Outside, the sky was gray. No wind, no sun, just silence. Ellis handed me a single envelope. Official copy, he said. I nodded, put it in my coat. Didn't look at it. Dana walked past me on the steps. No words, no glance. Her lawyer followed, carrying a box. I watched her heels click against the marble. Loud, fast, hollow. Tom stood by the truck. Done, he asked. I nodded. He offered a handshake. I took it. Was it worth it, he asked. I looked out at the empty parking lot. Not sure yet, I said, but it was necessary. That night I walked through the ranch gate. The lock had been changed. I had the key. Inside, dust on the floor, furniture covered in white sheets, stillness in every corner. I walked to the kitchen, opened a bottle of Dad's old bourbon, poured 2 fingers into a cracked glass. I sat at the table he built, felt the grain beneath my palm, didn't toast, didn't cry, just sat, alive, alone, at peace. Justice doesn't cheer, it just balances the weight. Would you have pushed all the way to court or walked away to avoid war? The ranch was quiet. Winter had faded. The snow melted into mud. The fence needed patching. The roof needed love. But the foundation's still there, still strong, just like me. I didn't sell it, didn't flip it for cash, didn't turn it into condos or retreats or ghost Airbnbs. I kept it because some things don't have price tags. They just carry names. Elliot. That name still meant something to me. I started small, cleared out the barn, repaired the workbench, hung my father's coat back on the hook by the back door, bought a used pickup, brought the fire helmet out of the box and set it on the shelf. Then I did one more thing. I opened the south shed, the one with the old hose reels and rusted gear, and I painted a sign, Elliot Fire Training Post, in honor of those who never gave up. It wasn't big, just me, 2 volunteers, and a gravel lot. But we trained local boys, taught them the old ways when water pressure mattered less than backbone. I didn't talk about my case, didn't bring up Dana, didn't mention courtrooms or forged names. I just taught and listened, and slowly I became myself again. One morning, a kid named Lucas stayed behind. His boots were too big. He'd spilled coffee on his notebook. I asked why he wanted to be a firefighter. He said, "My mom says real men don't run. They return fire with courage." I smiled, gave him a better pair of boots, and told him, "Your mom's right. But don't forget, real men walk through hell and carry others out." He nodded, didn't say more. I liked that. A month later, I got a letter from my cousin in Arizona. He'd heard what happened, said you did what most of us dream of, stood up when it counted. He enclosed a check, said for the post, for the boys. I framed the letter. Not for the money, but for the sentence he wrote at the end. Legacy isn't just what we leave. It's what we refuse to let die. That line stayed with me, so I wrote my own will. Simple. 1 page, no loopholes. Everything goes to the Elliot Fire Post, and to Lucas if he makes it through the full year. No lawyers, no drama, just a locked box and a trusted friend. One evening I stood by the old tree near the gate, held the same key my father left me, the one that opened the safety box, the one that saved me. I didn't throw it away. I nailed it to the gatepost. Let it rust, let it remind. I live quieter now. Coffee in the morning, tools by noon, old radio by the porch swing. Sometimes I hear coyotes, sometimes I don't, but I never hear regret because I took it all back. Not just land, not just papers, but my place in the world. Some nights I sit on the porch with a glass of whiskey, watch the sky go dark, feel the wood under me, the same beams Dad cut with his hands. And I think this is how you win. Not with fire, not with fists, but with weight, with patience, with truth. I reclaimed what was mine, then built something no one could steal. Have you ever had to reclaim your legacy piece by piece in silence? Where are you watching from? Share your story below. You're not alone.